This is Kevin Parker, better known as Tame Impala.
Tame Impala. Tame Impala. Tame Impala.
In just over a decade, Tame Impala went from being a small psychedelic project to becoming one of the most influential artists of our time. He headlines the biggest festivals in the world. His top song has nearly 2 billion streams. And the strangest part? People either worship him or have no idea who he is. I'd heard his name for years, but I'd never really listened. So I went through all his music, watched interviews and breakdowns, trying to understand what makes him so special. And I think I figured out why people are so obsessed with Tame Impala.
Tame Impala have gone from being a small Perth band to one of Australia's most famous musical exports.
Because in a culture full of loud personalities and overexposure, Kevin Parker feels different.
You've been covered by Rihanna. She is here tonight. Have you said hello yet?
Haven't said hello. No, she was quite rude in that regard.
Kevin Parker and his personality feel like a breath of fresh air in the global mainstream.
My introverted self is kicking and screaming the entire time.
And his unique approach to creating music paved the way for global superstars like Billie Eilish, Tyler the Creator, and Frank Ocean.
I just record the music by myself, like kind of multi-track it.
So why is Kevin Parker so different from all the other superstars? And what does it take to become such a global phenomenon? Let me tell you a story. Kevin Parker didn't grow up dreaming of becoming a rock star. He grew up locked in his bedroom.
I had a kind of an interesting upbringing.
There's something happening here.
I would love to just go to a fucking movie. You don't think I like...
His parents divorced when he was very young. They later got back together and split again, and this mess is heartbreaking and difficult for any kid.
I have no way of telling if I was just emotional because I was a teenager or if my family was really fucked.
Stop using your kids as an excuse. I know you have to stay here when you're...
You don't even know.
So music became Kevin's hiding place. At the time, his dad played in low-key bands, making covers of the Beatles, Supertramp, and the Beach Boys, and so on.
He was a musician himself, like just as a hobby.
But most nights, Kevin and his dad jammed together.
He would play lead guitar and I'd play rhythm guitar, so it's kind of the equivalent of like helping your dad build a table. You know, like that kind of cheesy father and son thing.
He generally had a great relationship with his father until one day in 1997. At 12 years old, one night he was caught by the police smoking weed.
I'm up your ass?
He didn't get any charges, just a warning. But his dad called all of Kevin's friends' parents and told them exactly what had happened.
Hello?
By the next morning, Kevin had no friends left. They turned away from him. From that moment, while everybody else was out living, Kevin locked himself inside. There he had one friend whom he loved, music.
I was just doing music all the time. Like I never did any homework. I just spent every night in the garage recording some music.
We had this tape deck that had a microphone input, so we plugged a microphone into it and just recorded ourselves playing drums. And then I noticed in the room there was a second cassette deck with the same thing, so I stuck a mic into that and recorded myself just hitting these keys over the top of me playing drums. It was me playing two things at once. It blew my mind.
He practiced recording and layering different instruments, all by himself. Nobody was expecting anything from him.
You know, music became a big part of my identity. It was a big part of like finding what I liked and no one else does.
He was simply creating for himself, to pass the time, to escape.
Like even like watching movies, like I find myself just playing the drums in my head when I'm watching movies.
But one day, somewhere in that room, Kevin found something. If you've never listened to psychedelic music, it's not just a sound.
It's a direct product of the 1960s counterculture that took psychedelic drug experiences and distilled it into a musical style.
It can really kind of help that individual take their experience up to the next level.
It's almost like a portal.
The user may see a wild complexity of images, hear a multiplicity of sounds.
The whole point is to mess with your mind, to bend reality.
The music and the light show which accompanies it carry the same howling and glittering intensity ascribed to the hallucinatory experience.
Reverb that makes the guitar sound like it's echoing into infinity. Bass lines that loop endlessly. Drums that melt into the background. It doesn't entertain you. It traps you inside your own mind. And for Kevin, that was the whole point. He once said, psychedelic music isn't about sounding trippy. It's about introspection.
It's such a kind of healing thing for me anyway. It's like therapy, you know.
For a lonely kid from Australia, it was like someone had built a whole genre just for him. He wasn't escaping anymore. Now he was exploring. And that's when he knew it was time to take his music to the next level.
Oh, yeah!
Kevin was becoming a better musician. He wanted to pursue this. And the normal way to do it back then, you start a band. So he hooked up with some local musicians and formed the DD Dums. Together they played some shows, put out a record, and even won the state final of a music competition. But Kevin? Well, he hated it. The truth is, Kevin was a control freak. And now, in the band, you had all these other guys who forced Kevin to compromise on his creative vision. It made him feel trapped. Around the same time, something else happened. How music was being produced was changing.
It's a very exciting night. We're going to show you new things.
Ableton was becoming more and more advanced and powerful.
So this is a clip from our session drums collection. It's a MIDI clip.
Ableton is a software that lets you record, edit, and produce songs on your computer. Basically, a full music studio in one program. So all of a sudden, anyone with a laptop could make music alone. You didn't need a band anymore. It was like a God's gift to Kevin. So he quit the DD Dums and isolated himself again.
I got Ableton and I was like, fuck it, all right, I'm gonna dedicate to this, you know?
Now he was finally ready to build his musical universe without anyone getting in his way. While most producers back then were using computers to make digital beats, Kevin was doing something very unique.
I like to think I've never really had much of an idea of what I'm doing. That's part of the essence of it, is like not really knowing what you're doing.
He was recreating the sound of the 60s psychedelic rock put in a modern setting. Nobody was doing that. So he started uploading songs to MySpace under the name Tame Impala. Within months, Modular Recordings reached out. At the time, Modular was one of the biggest indie labels in Australia. For Kevin, this was huge.
In fact, the record label, when they signed us, didn't know it was me that was playing drums and guitars and bass and multi-tracking. I outright lied to them. I didn't want to say it was just me. I was kind of shy. I just, you know.
Kevin rented the beach house to disconnect. No internet, no reception, just him in his own mind.
So Kevin, how's recording the album going?
Pretty good, just sound checking at the moment.
And what he made there became his first studio album, InnerSpeaker.
But the thing that I learned immediately was that as soon as you're in this beautiful environment making music, everything already sounds beautiful because of what you're looking at. Like I had this like ocean view. So just like strumming my guitar once was like, oh, that's all I needed to do.
It sounded like 5 different people jamming on LSD in the middle of the desert. But in reality, it was just Kevin alone with his own mind.
New album has just dropped. It's so fresh, it's still got plastic on it.
Critics called it one of the best albums of the year. Tame Impala quickly went from an underground project to an emerging force.
You guys came up with the name Tame Impala.
Well, we're just trying to think of we were just trying to think of the least catchy name possible.
Performing the song Why Won't You Make Up Your Mind from their album InnerSpeaker. Please welcome Tame Impala.
Kevin Parker was crafting all the music himself, but he needed a band to be able to perform live.
I just record the music by myself, like kind of multi-track it, you know, and then to play it live, I get
my friends in the band, basically.
They're all just songs Gavin's done at home by himself, and I play something on a couple of them, like keyboard and drums on half of one of them.
And as the world was discovering Kevin Parker, he just wanted to be by himself.
In a way, it's kind of the easiest place for me to be. I just love it so much. It's where anything is possible, you know? It's my chocolate factory.
His second studio album, Lonerism, was a huge success too.
We're here to present the award for Best Group, Tame Impala!
Tame Impala's been nominated for 7 ARIA Awards in 2013, including Best Cover.
This is a bit too much for me and my band of idiots.
Tame Impala, it's so good and so loud. I love this band. They're a Grammy-nominated band.
In his third album, Currents, was so huge that Rihanna asked Kevin Parker if she could cover one of his songs.
You've been covered by Rihanna. She is here tonight. Have you said hello yet?
Haven't said hello. No, she was quite rude in that regard. No.
Then came The Weeknd, Travis Scott, Gorillaz, even Kanye. And they weren't just fans. They wanted to make music with Tame Impala.
All those artists believed in themselves despite so much else going on, despite doubt from people around them, from everyone, you know. Because doubt and all that kind of stuff is poisonous in creativity.
And at this point, Kevin Parker wasn't just famous, he was world famous. But remember, Kevin's creative genius came from being alone. Now that everyone wanted a piece of him, he simply couldn't disappear anymore. What happens when your entire work of art comes from isolation, but the world doesn't let you be alone anymore? Kevin didn't feel well.
So it must be a surprise when you go from playing barefoot on a stage in front of a few hundred people to within a few years you're kind of headlining festivals.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the funny thing about, self-confidence, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter how many people are screaming at you, If you're doubting yourself, you're doubting yourself, and that's it. I honestly thought everyone that told me they liked Currents was lying. And I thought reviewers were just being nice because they felt sorry for me.
The fame was making him feel anxious and depressed. Constantly touring around the world didn't make anything better. And his obsessive perfectionism made him work day and night to create even better music.
Tame Impala have gone from being a small Perth band to one of Australia's most famous musical exports.
So he started drinking, smoking weed, and eventually everything was spiraling out of control.
Me making Tame Impala music, it's a deep, dark hole that I have to go into and, come out it drains every bit of me.
The period between 2015 and 2020 was the hardest part of his life.
If what we know about people and self-esteem and even mental illness and stuff these days is that there's nothing you can have or have achieved that will make you immune from self-doubt,
I close my front door and turn on the light.
It took Kevin 5 years to come back, but when he did, he gave the world the slow rush.
This is the album Slow Rush, here with the song Lost in Yesterday, Tame Impala.
Yeah, this one's about nostalgia as a drug to which we are all addicted, being overwhelmed with nostalgia and being anxious for the future and being, confident about the future. How we as humans are affected by time.
It's very difficult to summarize the whole album, but it feels and sounds like the one way he expressed himself and the thing that could help him heal.
This one is such a personal. Do you think the Kevin Parker of 2009 could have written something like this?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. But that's just something that I've gotten better at as my career has gone on, is that openness. Because every time I've cut off a little bit of myself and put it out there, the reward has been many times over that, many times worth it. Seeing people connect with it and hearing people say that they connected with it.
Kevin later said that therapy and personal growth helped him move forward, and maybe he finally realized something. Isolation can create masterpieces, but you can't live your whole life trapped inside your own mind. Because at the end of the day, even the world's coolest loner needs someone to reach out to.
It's kind of saying like, how do I go forward from here? You know, like how do I justify going into the future? One of the answers to that is like, as long as I can be who I am, you know?
Most people think Tame Impala's music is about being alone. It's not. It's about how to be alone without letting it destroy you. And maybe that's why his music resonates. Because in a world full of noise, Tame Impala gave us permission to disconnect.
Like if I knew exactly why people liked my music, then I'd probably know too much. Then it'd be too calculated, you know what I mean? It's good to kind of not really know what you're doing.
And it's kind of what I live for, you know. It's when I feel like I have a use, you know, when I'm just kind of in my studio, in my own realm.
Most rock stars are built for the spotlight. Kevin Parker built a career by trying to avoid it. But in doing so, he accidentally became the role model for a whole generation. His music doesn't just sound good, it gives us space. He gave the world what it didn't know it needed. I'm so humbled by all the kind words. I read every comment, and it means so much because we're a small team who are making these, and we want to make much more. Please subscribe, like, and share the word. Spread the word. Spread the love. See you for the next one.